Old Grognard says, let's look at how to roll ability scores in AD&D 2nd Edition's Dark Sun setting. Welcome back to Old Grognard Says. Today we're looking at the different methods for rolling ability scores in Dark Sun. Before we get started, let me clarify some things. Dark Sun characters have the same 6 ability scores that any other D&D character has, and they use the same tables in the front of the player's handbook when figuring out what those ability scores do. The difference is in how ability scores are rolled, and that's covered in Chapter 1 on page 2 of the Dark Sun Rules book. The reason for all of this is that raw ability scores in this game are between 5 and 20, and characters who have ability scores of over 20 are not uncommon. Overall, there are 6 ability score rolling methods, and they are the standard method and optional methods 1 through 5. What these all have in common is that they all use D4s instead of D6s. Anyways, let's get started by looking at the standard method. The standard method for rolling ability scores depends on if a character is an NPC or player character. To generate ability scores for a non-player character, we roll 5d4 for each ability score in order, starting with Strength and ending with Charisma. This yields a score of between 5 and 20. For player characters, the standard method is to roll 4d4 plus 4 for each ability score in order, going from Strength to Charisma. This gives player characters ability scores between 8 and 20. I had to do some cut and paste, but this is what the two methods look like if we graph them together for comparison. This isn't the only method for rolling ability scores. We also have optional methods 1 through 5. Let's look at optional method 1. Optional method 1 says for us to roll 5d4 twice for each ability score, keeping the higher of the rolls. This is what the bell curve looks like for rolling 5d4 twice and keeping the highest roll. And this is it compared to rolling regular 5d4. Let's move on to method 2. Optional method 2 is roll 5d4 6 times and assign the rolls to the ability scores as desired. This is one of the weaker methods for doing ability scores, but the player does have the option to assign their ability scores as they see fit. Now let's look at method 3. Optional method 3 is to roll 5d4 12 times and assign the 6 best rolls as desired. I don't know how to plot the probability on this one, but it's probably the strongest method for rolling ability scores. But then again, I've never played in a game where they use this one, so I don't have any experience with it. Let's look at method 4. Optional method 4 is the Dark Sun version of the method most people use to roll ability scores. This time we roll 6d4 and discard the lowest die to generate our ability scores and then assign them however we want. This is what the bell curve looks like compared to standard 5d4. Now, let's look at the last method, optional method 5. Optional method 5 works by having each ability score start at 10. The player rolls 10d4 and then assigns them to their ability scores as desired, with the highest ability score allowed being a 20. There are also house rules for how to roll, and most of them are a mix and match of versions of the methods above. So you might use the standard method with 4d4, but have the players assign the scores however they like. I've also heard of folks rolling the usual 4d6, drop the lowest, and assign how you like, but then adding 2 to each roll. This generates a number between 5 and 20, and this is what the bell curve looks like compared to 6d4 drop the lowest. The curve for 46 drop the lowest plus 2 looks pretty good, and it has the added advantage of being similar to the method most folks use, just adding 2, so it might be worth trying. Anyways, I think that pretty well covers the ability score rolling methods in AD&D 2nd Edition's Dark Sun setting. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments. Thanks for watching. Psychedelic Penguin and I would like to wish you a wonderful rest of your day.